Hey guys, welcome to another tier list video for 7.19. We're going to cover all the roles, obviously, but timestamps, list of champions and stuff are in the description if you just want to really see what I think. If you want top 5s for this patch, let me know down below. Throw the video a like. We'll go into a bit more detail and stuff per role, and I'll get them out this week. So starting with AD Carry, of course, the best role. Seems like, though, the role is a lot more even now. Basically, like, a lot of higher win rates have kind of dropped down, like Tristana, Azir, stuff like that, but others have come back up again, like Caitlyn and Jinx. Tristana is still going to be my number 1, though, seeing as this is a solo queue tier list, and one of the most important parts about playing AD Carry in solo queue is staying alive, and Tristana has the least deaths per game on average. Her damage on average is actually pretty low compared to other AD carries, ranked 13 out of 16. It's the kind of the fact, though, that you cannot kill her and she can hit you from really far away that leads to most of her wins. It's one of those things where people think she is like OP, she kills everybody, but like the reason is actually because she is safe, and her E means she can farm like a monster, so she gets more gold more easily, more items, easier to carry and easier to play. She is still the safest and easiest AD carry to play in this meta, who can carry like a monster in short bursts with her Q. Like, her damage is insane. You add in all this golden items and stuff, her resets, and she is a beast overall to climb with. So Vayne is up to number 2 for me after the changes this patch, and I can't wait for the brand new really good Vayne players to come in, but I'm not exactly sure whether she's just like much better or her competition is worse. Either way, she is popular now and winning a lot of games. We're still going with the crit build for now. It's the most aggressive high damage output build, and the more kills we get means the more... We are still going with the crit build, by the way. It's the most aggressive, it's the most high damage output, I guess you can really get, and more kills means a longer ultimate, which is even easier to win fights with. I'm not sure about giving Vayne, a late game beast, a snowball mechanic to a fight. Like, if she gets the first kill, she's gonna basically get the rest of them. I'm not sure that was a good idea, but I guess we're gonna see. If you can survive the lane phase, that's kind of all you gotta worry about. Give her a sensor and she is gonna take off. She is a really good carry AD, though. Not as hard to play as she used to be, I think. Like, healers in the lane phase to protect her, let her get farm, and we've got less aggressive lanes to kill her and stuff. As long as you get to the mid game, though, you're going to carry. So we are going to do the top 2, and then we're going to do an A tier as well, so like 2 kind of runner-ups, I guess. Twitch is going to be the first one, who could easily be tier 1, but he's not as mainstream as the other 2 here, and not as kind of reliable, I guess. So it's weird, right? He's been the highest win rate for ages, but actually it's because people who play him roam a ton. They get cheeky kills rather than CS, and if a game goes late, he is crazy OP. Most Twitch players do not actually farm that much. They get beaten lane pretty hard, but it's that late game stall and the roaming that means he is insane. You give him a few items in a team fight and he will ruin the game with his AoE damage. Draven is going to be the other one here, number 4, I guess. Never really give him enough love for these videos because I think he's less reliable than other ADs to climb with, but honestly, if you get a lead with him, it's like a free win. It's sometimes kind of hard in this meta to turn like one kill into a bigger lead, but Draven is probably the only one who can actually do that with his bonus passive gold. He might not be the best late game. You might be able to camp him and focus him pretty easily and shut him down team fights, but give him one kill and it's kind of game over almost. So moving on to mid lane, there are a lot of good picks here, but there was a big shake-up with this patch actually, especially in like the middle tier. Talon's going to be number 1 for me, who is the best assassin right now, I think. One of the few who can actually burst through sensor shields and heals and actually get work done, and that is why he can carry solo queue so hard. I guess it doesn't really matter if you have a bad team in solo queue when you can run around and literally one-shot everybody like a Talon can. You're like, your damage is insanely high, but it's not just when you're fed. He averages almost the highest kills per game out of any mid laner this patch, because 1, like kills in lane are pretty easy for him to get actually and cheese with that crit, and 2, roaming around is insane to use that gold afterwards. Overall, you've got this really good assassin who only gets better with practice as well. He might not be OP when you start playing him. The thing is, after this first like little hump of learning him and stuff, like players with 50 games plus jump up to a 57% win rate, which is crazy high. You've got that damage, that invisibility, mobility, and roaming to actually use the damage. Now, number 2, Twisted Fate, still a solo queue god. Pretty sure he is just like flat out the easiest mid laner to climb with in solo queue. Your lane is pretty underrated actually. Like, well, okay, level 3 with a stack deck, your E and ignite, you get way more kills than you'd probably expect. You do a lot of damage with that. Now, even after that, you can just push and roam all day, turn around ganks in other lanes, gank yourself. Those early roams actually have so much game impact. The roaming part is pretty obvious for Twisted Fate, right? But your team fights are really good as well. Low cooldown stun, poke burst damage, like finding people alone and one-shotting them. Like, you're actually pretty well-rounded and a perfect pick to carry. So this A tier, the next tier down, obviously we could have the standard Orianna, Syndra, Zed, Cassin. This is kind of where the shakeup happened though, because now we have Azir. The rework was really good for him. I didn't think it would actually be that massive, but it has brought him back a lot. It seems to be a lot easier to play, or just kind of that strong that even average Azir players can win with him now, which used to be his biggest problem. The learning curve for Azir was enormous. It was so hard to get to grips with him, and you would lose a lot when you started to play with him, but actually this patch, it doesn't seem that bad. He is really good as well versus meta mages, so Orianna, Syndra, Ahri, and assassins like Talon and Zed because he can just keep them at range. Like, he outranges all of those picks and has really high damage now. So Veigar is going to be the last one here. Had a massive spike up after his changes and seems like he's actually good even at higher ranks. Immobile mages don't seem to stand much of a chance because of the cage, like Syndra and Orianna, stuff like that. He can either punish them with ganks early and cage them, or just wait and kind of scale into a monster. I feel like his games are going a bit later in general anyway. Like, this is why Twitch is so good, right? He can get away with being a scaling champion more. His late game damage is insane this patch, seriously. I guess this is kind of what happens when you overbuff a late game champion and you have an entire kit that actually scales into late now. So back to carry bruisers mostly now. Tanks are okay for the top lane, but it's really damage picks again that we want to see. Number 1, Riven. Still really good in my opinion. Might not seem stupidly overpowered, and I don't think she is, but in the right hand, she is really good. The reason she never seems like super broken on stat websites is because her pre-50 game win rate is actually really bad. New Riven sucks something else. After that, she jumps up massively though, a lot more than other champions, and right now in this meta, it's actually pretty good for her. AD carries to kill, supports to protect her, tanks to frontline for her, and a shift into good matchups overall. It's hard to not place her number 1 when she's like the most popular top laner and still holds a good win rate despite these awful ones. It shows if you're good with her, you can really climb. Fiora's number 2, easy version of Riven, I guess, or late game version, probably a bit of both actually. The reason I think she's here, like for second at the moment, is because she can win these carry matchups if you're better than the opponent and get to a late game insane like 1v1 level. She is one of the picks where like if you get ahead, you can literally 1v5 carry with your healing. That is what makes her so scary. So considering solo queue is full of mistakes, right? You've got a champion who is amazing at punishing them, will scale to late game because the team ahead makes mistakes and makes the game longer, and is forgiving if you make a mistake. You can just farm into the game anyway. So A tier, first one, Singed. Not really sure what's going on with Singed anymore. They buffed him a while ago to an insane like level and then just kind of left him. Like, I guess it's a good job he isn't more popular because then we'd really feel it. He's held almost the best win rate since those buffs a while ago, and in case you think I'm spouting crap, it's close to a 60% win rate ending games before 25 minutes and still 55% before the 30-minute mark when he falls off. It's just crazy early. Jax is basically the opposite though. Insane late game, not really that great unless you manage to get ahead early though. Honestly, he kind of just fits his meta perfectly. Games are going later, there's more farm for top laners, has damage and gets tanky so he's not blown up instantly, and he can split push or he can team fight. He is a lot like Riven. The better you are with him, the more you're going to be able to do. You'll learn when to group, when to thump away at towers, and learn how to win games consistently. Jungle is the least changed role this patch, I think. There's quite a lot of choice around at the moment. We've got some solid carry picks, but tanks are still dominating. Sejuani is still insane, so number 1. I wonder if like Riot are actually just going to wait for preseason now to see whether or not the runes bring her down because she's crazy but not getting any nerfs. So a few things. Her ganking is really good, especially top lane because of her passive. Top laners are normally melee. They can stack up a stun for her, so it's kind of like a guaranteed stun and gank. You get really tanky even early because of her passive, which means she's very hard to kill, plus she is mobile as well, and almost she has the lowest deaths per game and almost the highest assists. That kind of says a lot, but also she rounds out comps in this meta. We have mage support, so squishy supports. We have carry tops again, so we need a big front line with some crowd control in the jungle. It's not really about Sejuani specifically, but the meta, right? Elise, for example, is really good at the moment, but I bet she loses a lot of games because of a lack of front line and crowd control when you get to team fights. I also bet that Sejuani wins a lot more than others just because her team's comp is more well-rounded with her in it. Number 2 is the same idea. Rammus is like pretty much just another tank, right? But better at ganking and catching people mid-game. I think that is like the major difference. Like, Rammus's mid-game win rate is crazy high, and I see this a lot as well. People are always way too far forward in the game in general, but they don't get punished, right? But with Rammus and his Q and Righteous Glory, that's like an insanely fast guy that you cannot get away from, and those picks will lead to a lot of wins basically. Yes, he's very tanky and he fits his meta really well. He can stack armor versus a lot of AD comps at the moment, but I think it's like his level of engage and punishing players out of position that really makes his win rate so insane. So A tier, first of all, Nidalee. I think a lot of you won't agree with me here, but almost a 60% win rate this patch for good Nidalee players. She is really good. You've got a high level of base damage anyway. Items are in a really good spot for her as well that she's going to build. Probably the best carry jungler we have left, definitely early game. You can gank and you can one-shot the AD carry even through sensor supports if she is good. Like, there's a massive difference between a good and a bad Nidalee though, so she won't show up on stat websites, but trust me, she is really insane. Kayn is kind of similar, I think. Some really bad ones and some really good ones. Now, Assassin Kayn, when he gets a few items, can almost one-shot and carry himself, right? But Red Kayn just refuses to die, heals for so much, lasts forever as a frontline, and does damage as well. Kayn overall can gank pretty well. He can farm. Kayn is a solid damage, like off-tank pick, I think, so he's actually really good. So finally for support, we've had a bit bit of a shake-up, but it seems like Sansa is actually just as strong, if not stronger, after the patch, which is pretty ridiculous. Janna number 1 is still the best because of how easy she is to play, so a lot of supports are good, but she is like the queen of keeping people alive and safe and stuff, but now she has a better lane phase with her changes. This is the reason she actually has been hotfixed twice this patch so far. I've never seen that before, but like her damage is insanely high right now with auto attacks, her Q, and Sensor applying on her as well, which is crazy. There's one other thing to remember. Her 1 to 50 game win rate is insanely high. That is why she's actually broken at the moment. Even new players can abuse her because she is so strong. You've got this AoE heal with your ultimate, with redemption as well on top of that, an AoE sensor, shields, knockup, slows, speed as well. Like a ridiculous kit, and Sensor with their new changes is actually a big buff for her damage as well. Rakan is kind of the opposite. His 1 to 50 win rate is awful, like really bad, but after that he climbs up massively. Now this is a support who people smurf with, by the way. Like high diamond or master smurfs one trick him and have like a 70 to 80% win rate. It's actually ridiculous. He can protect really well like bad players and stuff, but his engage is where the wins come from. He's really good at roaming and controlling the pace of the game, and it's almost impossible to dodge his engage. You do still build Sensor, which is great, but like you have such a high impact. A good Rakan can solo carry a game with his engage, basically. A strong lane phase, but insane team fighting. So for our A tier, we have Lulu, who's still really good, and if anything better after the Sensor changes, because more attack speed means more picks damage. She's not overpowered anymore in my opinion, but she's really good at protecting her AD carry or just one person. The thing is, like, Lulu is really good at one person protection, not team wide really. Her AD carry will do a lot more damage and will survive for ages if that's who she's focusing on, or they're gonna die because she had to ult somebody else, shield somebody else. Janna can keep a whole team alive, and that's kind of why she's so good. Soraka is basically the noob crusher. Like if the enemy team isn't very good or they're not very coordinated, if they are fighting each other, raging at each other, Soraka is the best support to play, I think. They really need to focus you down or blow all their cooldowns at once to burst somebody else, but if they are raging at each other and sitting back and stuff, like that doesn't really happen. Your silence is probably the most overpowered, underrated ability in the game. It prevents a lot of damage while you heal as well. You could easily be number 2 for me, I think, as well. So anyway, that wraps up the 5 roles. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think, but for now, I'll leave you with the robots.